Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Mezco MKX Kitana figure, which I have to say right off the top, she might be the best one out of the whole bunch. She's not perfect, but she has a lot of nice features, including her side boob, but it's actually a pretty good figure, so I'm very happy with the figure overall. I'm going to show you the accessories first after we give you a height measurement. Let me pull the camera back a little bit so you can see this. She's just shy of 6 inches tall. Well, that's to the top of her little spikes. She's about 5 3/4 inches to the top of her head, and she stands about 14.5 centimeters to the top of her actual physical head. You can see she has the loose-ish hands on her from the packaging. Those can be used to hold the accessories also, and I'll show you the rest of the hands and accessories she has right now. So, hand-wise, we have the two style pose hands right here, which are rather small, so let me get in close. Nicely sculpted, but they are pretty small, so be careful with those pegs. As you can see, the wrists have the swivel and the hinge. We also get these gripping hands, which are going to be for a particular set of accessories. The ones that she comes with in the package are meant for the one other accessory. I'll explain it when we get there. And she has these karate chop hands, or whatever you want to use those for. Now we have some weapons. We have two of these knives. So those are for the more traditional gripping hands. Very detailed, by the way. You can see there's sculpted textures on the handles and the blades. So that's pretty cool, and they're nice and shiny. And then we get the two fans. They are identical, so I'm just going to hold one since they're too big for this shot. And now you're going to use the more loose gripping hands to hold these, which are also nicely detailed, nicely sculpted, and nicely painted. Very happy with that. So we get a decent batch of accessories. As far as the figure goes, her paintwork is pretty clean. I think they did a really nice job with all of the metals, especially if you look at her arm in particular, where the metal is right up against the skin. It's really nicely painted. It might not be 100% perfect, but it looks pretty darn good. And they did a nice job with the golds and then the metals up on the blue, around the chesticles, and on her collar. It's just a really cleanly painted, the black straps on her waist, the face, everything looks really darn good. They nailed it in terms of paint application. And then if you look at the silverish blue on the gloves up against the other blue, that's also really clean. Everything on this figure looks really good, except for her little chopstick things that go in her hair. They're kind of like one big globby piece in the back here, but that's hardly a big deal since it's on the back of her head. We do have one little issue that we'll get to as I get farther into the review, but by and large, she's a really well done figure. As far as the articulation goes, the head can look up and down. Pretty decent range of motion, actually. Side to side, no problem. You can lean it from side to side, so style posing is no problem. The shoulder pads are actually, I keep saying actually again, the shoulder pads are hard plastic, but they are flexible enough that if you want to bring the arms up a little higher, you can kind of flex that. Just do that at your own risk because they could break off, so that's up to you. With them there, the arms only go about horizontal. This one's a little softer for some reason, so I was able to get the arm up a lot higher. So the joint itself is not limited, so it's up to you how you want to handle these. If you hit them with a hairdryer, you can probably make them nice and soft and get the arm all the way up if you want to. So full range of motion for the shoulders, which is really nice. The elbows are pretty limited, just in that they're so skinny they should have better range, but you do get the full 90, so it's not too bad. And then we already talked about the wrists, so those have the hinge and the swivel. Now here's the issue. Her torso, just like all the other figures, just has the ball peg. But when you lean her back, the sculpt and paint is not continued down, so it looks a little bit weird where that blue just stops. And it doesn't have much range of motion. It's very limited. Side to side, it does have some, but again, very limited. You're basically just going to use that as the swivel. So, now we have the hips, which I don't like this particular style of joint that they use, but it doesn't work. It works well enough. It's not too bad. So it's kind of ugly because you get those giant ball pegs going into the hip socket, but she has pretty good range of motion, and it's functional like a T-jointed ball hinge. So you can bring the legs pretty far up. You have your thigh swivel built in there, and then you can use the knee joint, which is almost 90 degrees, which also has the swivel in it, to get her in some decent poses. You can see she's got pretty decent range in her legs, which most of the other figures don't have. And then lastly, her ball peg for her ankles has pretty good range as well. So you should be able to get her in some decent poses, and with the fantastic sculpt work and fantastic paint work, she's a shoo-in for one of the figures you need to pick up from this line if you're not getting all of them. So check out the link in the description for Big Bad Toy Store. She is in stock there, so grab her before she sells out. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.